Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy, the Mad Tiger. And up here today, guys, we have another Let's Recommend 10 PS2 games. Now, I've done a few of these videos before in the past, where I just basically take a few games out of my PS2 collection and kind of recommend them. Now, 9 times out of 10, these are games that I've played and think are worth playing. But then there's sometimes a blind one in here which I think might be worth a recommendation. And, I've got nearly 1,000 PS2 games. So, there's games here for everyone. And I picked out some games here that I think are worth trying out for some people if you are looking to collect for PlayStation 2 or you have a big PS2 collection, you're looking for something to play. Hopefully this will give you a little bit of guidance, but without further ado, let's get straight into what I've got. So first up, we have Beautiful Joe. Now, not a lot of people realise is that Beautiful Joe actually came out on PlayStation 2. Now, this was originally a GameCube game made by Capcom. And, there was this whole Capcom exclusive GameCube deal that went down years ago, where basically Capcom made 6 games for GameCube, and all of them were meant to be exclusive, but they never did. I think Resident Evil 4 was one of them. Killer 7 was another one. Beautiful Joe was one. And there was a couple of others. The only one that stayed exclusive was called, I think, PN06, which was actually a pretty cool game. I recommend that one if you're looking up for that. But Beautiful Joe actually had some exclusive stuff on the PlayStation 2. You could actually play as Trish and Dante from the Devil May Cry series, which was pretty awesome as well. Now, what is exactly Beautiful Joe? It's a sort of, this is basically a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up. If you've ever heard of the game Ninja Saviors on Super Nintendo or Bad Dudes or something like that, a 2D side-scroller beat-em-up game. And yeah, this is actually a really, really cool game, because, this game is sort of done in like a cel-shaded movie style gameplay, and it's really fun beat 'em up, and it has a really cool sort of like slow down option where you can basically slow down time, almost like a bullet time thing. But Beautiful Joe, I actually played more of it on the GameCube. But for those of you who don't have a GameCube, then definitely check out the PS2 version of the game. It's a really fun game, and it's got some great graphics for the time, and it's wacky, it's over the top, and it's just pure beat 'em up action games. It's kind of a nod to the old sort of Super Nintendo beat 'em ups, but instead of it being on like a multiple plane where you can move up and down, it just stays on one area. But it's a really fun game, and I don't think the second one ever came out on PS2. I think there was a second one. But yeah, definitely recommend Beautiful Joe. Up next, we have Rampage Total Destruction. And the good thing is this includes the original Rampage and the World Tour. So Rampage is a classic Midway arcade game. Chances are you've heard of Rampage or you've seen the movie, and I've got to say the movie actually wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So what is Rampage? Well, basically you play as these giant monsters, kind of like a Godzilla style thing, like King Kong style monsters. It is its own thing. It's not, well, it is kind of a rip-off of Godzilla monsters and King Kong and stuff. But this is actually a really fun game because you can play this game single player or 2-player. And how it works is you have different areas of buildings, and you have different locations, and the whole idea is to basically destroy all of the buildings, cause chaos, break down buildings, throw cards at things, and it's a really, really fun game. It's not as, I don't know if it's as good as some other games, but I would recommend Rampage Total Destruction. It is also available on GameCube and I believe original Xbox as well, and more than likely PC. But Rampage Total Destruction is a great fun game to play. If you've got someone to play it with, you can have a lot more fun. You can sort of screw each other over, or you can work together to try and complete each missions. And yeah, there's a lot of unlockable characters to play as, and each of them have their sort of like own sort of things about them and stuff like that. But yeah, Rampage Total Destruction is a great, fun, just pure over-the-top game. And then up next we have Warhammer 40,000 Fire Warrior. I'm just taking the stickers off while I go, actually. Just one way of getting the stickers off. So this was actually published and created by THQ. Yeah, you may know them from the old WWE games. But Warhammer Fire Warrior is one of the few first-person Warhammer games. I know we have the Vermintide games now, and Space Hulk, Deathwing, and there was a few other games out there. It's cool. It comes with a little white Games Workshop thing in here. So basically, what Fire Warrior is you basically play as one of the Tau Fire Warriors. Tau are a faction in Warhammer 40k, and yeah, this is a really fun first-person shooter. It even had co-op versus modes on this, and it had some online back in the day, and it actually says on here it's got voice actor of Brian Blessed in here, which that's pretty cool. So basically the main enemies in this game are the Imperial Guard and then the Space Marines, and then towards the end you fight off against Chaos. I remember this game being really good. It got good reviews and stuff at the time. You can play this versus as well. I can't remember if there's bots in this game. I think there might be. But yeah, this is a really good game. Even if you're not a big Warhammer fan, you can still enjoy this game as a sort of like a futuristic first-person shooter. And yeah, I really highly recommend Fire Warrior. It is also available on PC as well. I don't think it was ever released on any other system at the time. I could be wrong. Next we have Total Overdose. Now Total Overdose is kind of its own thing. Now it is kind of like a mix between, say, State of Emergency and almost a GTA style game, but actually reminds me more of Max Payne a little bit, and maybe even a bit of Just Cause thrown in there. The whole idea of this game is it's basically really arcadey. It does have an open world to it, and the open world isn't amazing, but where this game shines is in its gameplay. It is just pure over the top action. It's basically like a B movie as a video game. It feels like one of those old, like B movie grindhouse, like Machete kind of things, like with Danny Trejo, one of those sort of Spanish B movie over the top cartel things, And yeah, it's a really fun game actually. It has a great sort of like it does have like a Max Payne like bullet time thing going on there, but you can do all these crazy like stunt moves as well, like where you'll jump up in the air and spin around and shoot everything. This game is just pure over the top. There was a sequel for this game released on the PSP called Chili Con Carnage, and I actually remember playing the sequel quite a bit, because not actually did I ever play it because of the story, but it used to have a hot seat mode, and I used to play that with my brother all the time, where you basically would, it was like a hot seat mode. It was almost like Horse. You remember Horse on Tony Hawk? But the whole idea was I would play through and try and get a score, and then my brother would, I'd give the PSP to my brother, and then he would try and do it. But Total Overdose had more of an open world to it, whereas Chili Con Carnage was more linear. But Total Overdose is a really fun game. I haven't played it in a while, but I do remember it being really fun. It's not amazing. It's not like the best game you're ever going to play, but I highly recommend it if you're looking for something over the top, arcadey, and just non-realistic. As is the same with Destroy All Humans 2. Now, I am aware that Destroy All Humans has just had a remake, but I'm going to say the reason I put Destroy All Humans 2 on here is because Destroy All Humans 1 was a good game for its time, but that game was actually a little bit more on the linear side. Yes, it did have a semi-open world to it, but what I enjoyed about Destroy All Humans 2 was two things. A, it had more of an open world to it. You know, it didn't really sort of limit you to just sort of one particular mission level kind of thing. But this game also had co-op. Yes, this game actually had co-op. I'm not sure if the new Destroy All Humans has co-op or not. I don't think it does. I think it's more of a remake of the original game. But Destroy All Humans 2 was actually a really fun game. It sort of takes place in like the 60s. It's all, you know, make war not love is the marketing on this game. This game is like Total Overdose. It's over the top. You basically play as this alien. I can't remember the name of his name. Can't remember his name, but yeah, if you've played the original Destroy All Humans, play the second one, because you can have a great time with this game playing it in co-op as well. And you know, back in the day on PS2, there weren't many co-op open world games. You know, nowadays we have online co-op for open world games, but back in the day we didn't have that many open world games for co-op. But this game is not a realistic game. The whole point of this game is just to go around causing chaos. Yes, you have missions. You can get in a spaceship and just destroy everything. You can hypnotize people. You can blow people up. You can probe them. There was a third game in the series released on, I believe, Xbox 360 and PS3. I'm not sure if it came on Xbox 360, but I know it was on PS3. Path of the Furion, I think it was called. And I believe that also had co-op. But Destroy All Humans 2 is a great game to go back and play if you've got someone to play it with. Still is a pretty fun game on its own, single player. Now we're getting into a game that perhaps isn't a good game to play co-op because it don't have co-op. You thought I was going to say it isn't a good game. Silent Hill 2. Now, everyone talks about Resident Evil being the go-to horror game in the early 2000s. However, Silent Hill, in my opinion, Silent Hill 2 is possibly one of the most notorious and scariest and just well-made horror games for the time. Resident Evil had, yes, it was a horror game, but it had an action element to it. You know, it was always about gunning down your enemies. Yes, you could try and avoid them, but you know, as the series went on, it became more and more action orientated. But Silent Hill 2 took what was great about the first game and just made it that better. This game does not hold any punches. It basically contains, you know, those very notorious things from, you know, the early horror games in like PlayStation 1, early PlayStation 2 era, you know, tank controls, you know, kind of thing. You know, this game is all about trying to find areas, you know, going from one place to another, going, oh, I've got a key so I can go here. But this game is unlike any horror game you've ever played. It is dark, it is scary, it can be a bit over the top at times, but you know what is great about this game is just the darkness, the atmosphere. Yes, this game is full of creepy enemies, very weird and dark enemies that, you know, you just think, whoa, that is like some nightmare fuel right there. You know, Pyramid Head is one of the most notorious monsters in video games to this day. But Silent Hill 2 had one of the best atmospheres in a horror game because it was very dark. You never really knew what was around each corner. Every time you went into the room, you never knew what you were going to find. And also when you're in like the city area or the town, this game did a great job of hiding things behind the mist, which now from the game standpoint, the mist was actually used to hide things rendering in, which was perfect. But it also gave the game a great sense of atmosphere and darkness to it, because you never really knew what was going to come out of that mist. I do want to mention that the second and third game did get a HD remaster on Xbox 360, but from what I've heard, it is not the version to play because They basically ruined it with the fog or the mist, and they basically ruined the lighting effect of the game, so the mist wasn't really there to hide things rendering in. It just took away the atmosphere. So I highly recommend the original Silent Hill 2. The third game is also a great one too, and the first one. And there were a few Silent Hill games on PlayStation 2, but the second one is often considered to be the best in the series. And this is the special 2-disc set. It is getting pretty pricey now, so just be aware this is a £20+ game in most places. Next we have a game that isn't very dark, but Sims 2 Castaway. Now, I've talked about The Sims on my channel quite a few times, but I've already said how The Sims on console was nothing like The Sims on PC. The Sims on console always had a sort of story mode to it, but The Sims 2 Castaway, it was also released on other systems. The Sims 2 Castaway is actually a pretty fun game. This game basically, it plays very similar to The Sims 2 on PS2, of course, you know, and the whole being able to run around free control instead of point and click style. But this game basically takes place on an island, the Castaway. And what's really cool about this game is it basically plays like a mix between, obviously, The Sims, but also a survival game in which you have to go around, you know, you have to craft things, you have to, you know, create your own, like, shelters and buy, you know, creating things. You can also explore the island and find all of these secrets and stuff. It's a really cool expansion of The Sims that I think really worked for the time, and not many people talk about Sims 2 Castaway, but I think it's a really cool game. One of my favorite things is you can actually find chimpanzees on the island and make friends with them and actually name them and stuff. So it's a really cool game. It's wacky again, it's Sims, but it actually combines this whole survival element, but actually is a great survival game without it being a really hardcore survival game. So it's great for people who like survival games but want something a little bit more manageable, I guess. But yeah, Sims 2 Castaway is a great one that I highly recommend. Then we talk about one of, if not one of the most underrated games on the PlayStation 2, and that is Scarface, The World Is Yours. Now, obviously we all know Scarface the movie, but this game basically is, I think this is like an alternative reality to what happens in the movie. I haven't seen the movie, or at least not seen it the whole way through, but I do want to watch it. But this game is absolutely amazing. This is an open world game where the whole point is basically Tony Montana, you basically have been pushed aside, basically, and the whole point of this game is to try and basically build your empire back, take your empire back. It basically starts, you know, with the whole mansion scene and, you know, I'm my little friend. But this game is awesome. This game basically allows you to play as Tony Montana, going around and basically doing, you know, open world missions and stuff like that. But what's really cool is you can basically also play as henchmen. And when you play as the henchman, you can actually do like henchman themed missions. What's really cool is that if you're playing as Tony Montana, you can't actually just randomly kill people like you can in GTA, but you can as your henchman, because Tony Montana has the thing about, I don't kill random people for the sake of it. But this game is awesome. It has a really cool combat system as well, where when you're locking onto an enemy, you can sort of like aim your gun at different parts of their body. It has like an arcadey score system there. And you can also do a thing where you go in rage mode and you deal extra damage and slow down time. But Scarface, The World Is Yours, I know it's basically a movie title, but forget about that. Forget about it. Scarface, The World Is Yours is one of, if not the best movie games out there, even though it is really based on the movie, but definitely check it out. Then we have another game I wanted to mention called Made Man. This game is basically a much more linear version of, say, Mafia or something. This game basically plays very similar to like a Max Payne. It's a third-person shooter. I don't really care too much about the story, but this game is actually kind of an interesting one. It's not perfect, but it's not terrible either. It plays like a, you know, like I said, Max Payne kind of thing. It has like a slow down thing with like a bullet time stuff. It says on here it's the game equivalent of Pulp Fiction. It's actually a pretty cool game as well, and it sort of like allows you to go back between like Vietnam missions, and I haven't beaten it yet. I've played about 3 or 4 missions in this game. There's some pretty cool parts in the game, like where the game will make you go through a swamp and you can't like sprint or anything. You've got to avoid alligators. There's a part in the game where you have to escape from the cops, and the only weapon you have is a sawn-off shotgun. They've got snipers where you can't reach, and you have to try and, you know, make your way around them. But Made Man is a pretty fun game. It's not perfect, but it's one that I'd recommend. And last but not least, we have Gun. Now, this game is also released on the Xbox 360, so I'd recommend that version. But if you don't have an Xbox 360 and you're going for a PS2 collection, Gun is basically, this was basically Red Dead Redemption before Red Dead Redemption. This game sort of plays it's a semi-open world game. It has some open world elements to it, but it's more linear open world, kind of like a Mafia 2 kind of thing. But I enjoyed this game for the time, you know. Back in the day, you know, there weren't many Western games out there. And to be honest, I'm going to still be honest with you, there aren't many cowboy games out there to this day. There are a few, but there's not many worth mentioning. But Gun was actually awesome, you know. I absolutely loved Gun back in the day. I haven't beat this game, mind you. I couldn't really get past the last boss. But this was made by Activision and Neversoft. You know, Neversoft worked on the Tony Hawk series, yeah. But this is a really cool Western game. It's not as open-ended as Red Dead, but it's a nice fine in between Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Revolver. It's kind of like the precursor to Red Dead Redemption, almost. But yeah, I'd recommend it, definitely. So there we have it, guys. 10 PlayStation 2 games that I recommend. Like I said, if you guys have enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, and of course comment below. Let me know if you think these games are worth the recommendations. Have you played them? What games would you recommend? All of that good stuff. And as always, guys, subscribe if you haven't already and join the family. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Mad Kyger, and Twitch. I will be streaming tonight some Overwatch. Yeah, we're going back to Overwatch. Going to do some more event, try and get some more skins. I have been playing Far Cry 5 these last couple of days, but we're going to go back to Overwatch tonight. And as always, guys, have a nice day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye.